Okay, so 50 great punk albums. First honorable mentions. This is Idol's first album. And great record released in 2017, I believe. Well worth checking out. As well as all their other albums. Second mention is Leatherface, recently reissued, originally put out in 91. Saw this band live once. They were absolutely fantastic. That's another mention for Leatherface. Mush. What punk rock collection would be complete? Not be complete without this. The Ramones. We all know the Ramones. 76. Great band. We'll put them there. Okay, and another band I saw live quite a few times growing up in Ireland. The Undertones. Their first album, which does not have Teenage Chicks on it, came out in 1978. This is the original cover. There we go. There we go. I'll put that down now. Next. Last honorable mention already. Wire. Pink Flag, first album, 1977. Great record. This is a reissue on the really crappy Four Men with Beards label. But it's okay. It does me okay. So, now that my honorable mentions are out of the way, we can go on to the 50 albums, great punk rock albums, in no particular order, maybe A to Z. Let's see. First, there shall be Adolescents, Orange County. Obviously, that's in LA. And they released this album in 1981. The guitarist was Rick Agnew. He also played in D.I. a little later, which also featured Casey Rohr, the drummer on this album, but he was a singer for D.I. Also, we have to mention Steve Soto, who passed away recently, unfortunately. He was originally the bass player in Agent Orange. Now, this is a great album. It has plenty of fantastic tracks like Kids in the Black Hole, I Hate Children, Wrecking Crew, Rip It Up, Creatures, and of course Amoeba. We'll put that back there. There we go. Next, Angry Samoans. Now, this was released, I believe, in 1982, and it's their first full album, and it's an absolutely kicker of an album. Brilliant. And we'll put this over here. Okay, the Brits are coming in, and this is the Adverts' first record that actually doesn't have, was reissued later with Gary Gilmore's Eyes, and there's another reissue that has a singles comp with it, and this was released in 1978. I would say one of the best British rock albums ever. So check that out. Aha! My youth is right here. 1981, Antipasti, Last Call. This I got when it came out, and has a song No Government. Absolutely brilliant. Great song here as well called St. George Gets His Gun. Brilliant stuff. That's 1981. Great British punk rock. Okay, we're back to San Francisco with the Avengers. The Avengers, well, with this, It was recorded between 77 and 79, but it wasn't released until 1983. Now they had a couple of singles out on Danger House Records, but not this album until 83. And it's another great record. They have a great version of Painted Black, Stones cover. We Are the One was a single on this. And there's quite a few other fantastic songs on here. The American and Me, great. Okay. Next, Bad Brains. Now most people like the Roar album, the Roar cassette, which I love it too, but this, for me, which came out in 1983, really hit home. I mean, it's got Coptic Time, Sailing On, White Brigade, a couple of great reggae songs on here. A lot of people don't like their reggae. I do. I saw these guys once, and they did not impress me. They were under the name Soul Brains. They played with Murphy's Law and Cro-Mags, who are fantastic, but not so much in Soul Brains. But early stuff by Bad Brains cannot beat it. There we go. Aha. Next. This is the Battalion of Saints. They were from San Diego, and this is Second Coming. It's not a great punk rock record. Unfortunately, Chris Smith, the guitarist, died pretty early on, and yeah, there's not a lot I can say about them except for they're a great band. Did a great cover of Ace of Spades by Motorhead, and this is the reissue. The original, really hard to get. There we go. Aha. Another personal favourite. Big Boys. Now, Big Boys, unfortunately, growing up in Ireland, I did not ever see the Big Boys, but I did move to the States, did meet Biscuit Turner, lead singer of this band, on St. Mark's. He was selling jewellery. Really nice guy. Dropped a copy of, it was one of their first 12-inch EPs into me where I worked at Bleecker Bob's. Really nice guy to talk to. He's unfortunately passed away since. But this was a great album from 1981. Sort of like, sort of soulful, funky, punky, clashish. You just can't really describe the Big Boys. They're just fantastic. Okay, next. Black Flag, Damaged. This is a classic record that had a lot of problems coming out. They even had to stamp a little anti-parent sticker there, you know. So, great songs like Rise Above, Spray Paint, Six Pack, Depression, Damaged, of course. This came out in 1981 on Unicorn Records and SST, of course. So, that goes over here. Next, another band I saw live just once in London, Garden Odeon, I believe it was 87 on their, I think it was their VI tour. And this has Coup d'etat, which was also on the soundtrack of Repo Man. Great movie. And this, great memories of this record. Absolutely banger from start to finish. Has a great version of a song called Golden Terror Hits. Church on 45 does weird cover versions of famous weirdo songs. Okay, there we go. Next, an album I never really liked that much when it came out, but it's been reissued on audiophile vinyl recently, and it makes a hell of a difference. The Clash, Give 'Em Enough Rope. This was their Clash's second album, and it has what I think is their best songs that didn't really get justice the first time around, but now with this, and this came out only a few years ago, and it's absolutely great. Okay, one more for this. It's Code of Honor. San Francisco band with a band called Mike, a singer, he's a guitarist, Mike Fox. He did a lot of work with Dead Kennedys on God We Trust, and this came out, I believe, in 1984. Yeah, 84. Great record from start to finish, and that was on Subterranean Records, which was Flipper's label. Code of Honor, Beware the Savage Jaw. Okay. Another band I've seen live once. CPGB's of all places. Conflict, the Ungovernable Force. I think this is probably their best record, noisiest, hardest. They have Steve Ignorant from Crass doing vocals, as well as Colin Sherwood, who was the vocalist. And this is a great punk rock album. Noisy, fast, what do you want? Okay. Speaking of Crass, here they are. This came out in 1979. My first real introduction to Crass, and I used to bunk off school to this record. I used to also just listen to it around friends' tables. It's a double album, two sides live, no, one side live, three side studio. Great record. Okay, and from Lansing, Wisconsin, this is the Crucifix first album. I used to write to this guy, and he's completely crazy, the doctor, but still, this is probably, I think, one of the greatest, angriest punk rock records ever made. It's got songs like Go Bankrupt and Die, Democracy Spawned Bad Taste, Legal Genocide, I Am the Establishment, Cops for Fertilizer, and Hinckley Had a Vision. Great record on Alternative Tentacles. I think this came out in 1984. Yes, it was. Alternative Tentacles, 1984. Absolute fantastic record. Okay, here we go. So, on to The Damned, Machine Gun Etiquette from 1979. Now, I could have picked their first album, which is also a fantastic record, but this has a personal thing with me, I think. It's got Love Song, Melody Lee, Anti-Pope, Peace Hands, Noise After Noise, Tran 9, Channel 7, and of course Smash It Up, along with a whole bunch of other songs. So, this is The Damned and Machine Gun Etiquette, 1979. I also, with this, Dead Kennedys, Plastic Surgery Disasters, came out in 1982, had Bleed For Me and Halloween singles. This I bought from a job I was working in the Metro Hotel, 82, and got this fantastic record. Yes, I could have put Fresh Root, equally as good. I think Fresh Root, Plastic Surgery Disasters, and Frankenchrist, all great records. This had Government Flu as well, another great track, and Moon Over Marin, which you cannot go wrong with. I have actually hung out a little bit with Jello Biafra in the past and used to swap records with them in the mid-80s. So this is a fantastic record, fast-paced, precision all the way. Plastic Surgery Disasters. Okay, one of the first punk bands I've ever gotten into, and I have seen them probably about 5 or 6 different times in different countries. The Dickies, the Incredible Shrinking Dickies. This had Paranoid, Give It Back, Poodle Party, You Drive Me Ape, You Big Gorilla. Fantastic record. This is a treasured artifact for me, and it means a hell of a lot to me. So that's the Dickies, the Incredible Shrinking Dickies. There they go. Next, not the Dickies, but the Dicks. Thea, my wife, and myself saw these guys. I think it was on my birthday, for my 40th birthday, maybe? I think it was, at least. And they were great. We talked to Gary Floyd afterwards. It was a lot of fun. This was their first album, and it was called Kill From The Heart. Now, there's a website named Kill From The Heart. I think they might be gone by now, but they did a great punk discographies. And this had so many great songs on it. Very, very anti-fascist band. Gay band from Texas, which went through a lot of crap to put this out. I really respect this band. Okay. Here. That, of course, was a reissue. Because the original is almost impossible to get now. Aha! But this is an original of DOA's Hardcore 81, which the whole genre was named after. And Joey Shithead, I've seen this band live. He was the singer, guitarist. He sent me a record once. This is another great record, band from Canada. They're still going. They will not give up. And good on you, Joe. This is a fantastic record from 1981, obviously. Put that over here. Next, unfortunately at the moment, Watty from The Exploited is sick, and hopefully he gets better soon, even though I'm not really a great fan of The Exploited. This album just kicks ass, left, right, and center. It's another one of the greatest punk rock albums of all time, I would say. The Exploited, Troops of Tomorrow. The song Troops of Tomorrow was a cover version of the Vibrator song, and there's so many great songs on this. It is absolutely fantastic. That's The Exploited, Troops of Tomorrow. Next, we have the False Prophets. False Prophets were sort of like an outsider band in New York. Their singer used to come into a bar in a band, in the bar that I used to work in New York, by Sheepshead Bay, and he was a really nice guy. This is from 1984. It's their first album. They've had a couple of EPs out before this, but it's like great songs like Overkill, Seven Deadly Sins, Marat Say, Functional, The Taxidermist, and of course the amazing Suburbanites Invade, which is all about rich people coming to New York and taking over. This False Prophets, first album, brilliant, on Alternative Tentacles, 1984. Great band. Next we have, a band I briefly played in. nasty story behind it, which I will not tell you. Jello Biafra also has the same sort of story, so you can guess what it is. This is another one of the greatest albums of all time. This is a reissue, Ever Felt Like Killing Your Boss, which was originally titled Ever Feel Like Killing Your Boss. The Feeders, this was released in 1983, I believe. Had a great cover. It's like for wrecking all your other records. If you happen to pull it out, there's scratchy stuff on here. Okay, that's great. Next, one of my favorite bands of all time, Flipper. Now this is an original pressing of this. You see, pull that out. Okay. There we go. Actually, I won't pull it out. We'll see them on the back. You can chop them up and put them around your room, or you can do the van, which is right behind us. Up there. There we go. This is from 1984. A fantastic record. Not your typical punk rock, but it's got like saxophones and it's got whistles, but it's brilliant. I would say genius, and underrated genius. So, there we go with Flipper. Also, their first album, Generic, is a classic. Next, we go on to, speaking of classics, the Germs. The Germs' first album, GI, which had Darby Crash, obviously, Don Bollies, they had Lorna Doone, and Pat. Pat ended up in Nirvana of all bands on the wonderful live acoustic, and this had some great tracks on it as well. Media Blitz, Lex the Devil, of course, which was a single from this album. What We Do is Secret. Great album. 1979. They're from LA. Didn't do another studio album. No, they did one more studio album, What We Do is Secret, but it's sort of like a compilation. Anyway, the Germs, GI from 1979. Brilliant. Next we have another one of my favorite records of all time. Husker Du. Now I could have gone with Zen Arcade, but everyone knows Zen Arcade. And it's fantastic. A big genius. This is I think their punkiest and really melodic, very short, fast songs. It's got like the song Everything Falls Apart, Wheels, Gravity, the closer on the song. It's like one of my favorite songs of all time. From the Gut, blah blah blah. Husker Du, Everything Falls Apart, 1983. Great record on Reflex Records. So, on to In for Riot. That way. But it goes this way. So we'll pull it out. We'll have a quick look at it. It's a very weird record to deal with because it comes that way, and you deal with it lots of different ways. But this is from 1982. In for Riot were sort of like an oi sort of punk band. This came out on Secret Records, which also had a lot of other bands like Blitz and Peter and the Test Tube Babies and the Exploited. Anyway, with this, 1982, it's got a lot of personal memories for me. It's got the song Power, Emergency, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Fantastic record from 1982. That's In for Riot, which I believe are still going to this day. Playing live, at least. Okay, so the next one is a band from Boston, Jerry's Kids. Now, Jerry's Kids, being from Boston, their lead singer, Rick Jones, and the guitarist, Rockin' Bob Sensei, did a second album without Chris Doherty or Brian Vesberg, the guitarist and drummer, who were also in Gangrene. And Gangrene were a band I saw in London, '87, supporting the Circle Jerks, and they were absolutely fantastic. This album has some fantastic songs from 1983. It's called Is This My World? Jerry's Kids. And they have a great song called I Don't Belong, which a lot of punk rockers can relate to. Vietnam Syndrome, Tear It Up, Crucify Me, Lost, No Time, and Is This My World? Fantastic record. The original of this goes for tons of money, so I'm glad I have a reissue. That's Jerry's Kids, Is This My World? Aha! Now, this is a British pressing, an original British pressing of JFA's Valley of the Aches, their first album. Now, they were from Arizona, and they were like one of the first real skate punk bands. They had songs like Great Equalizer, Preppy, Little Big Man, Johnny D. They did like cover versions of things like Walk Don't Run or Baja, which are sort of like rock and roll standards, I guess. This came out '83. It's on the Fundamental Records, which was a British label at the time, but it was marketed through Placebo, which was their label in Arizona. They were a great skate, sort of surfy type band, fantastic for their time. They have a few other albums that are really good too. Put them away, JFA, Jodie Foster's Army. Next, a band I've seen many, many times, MDC, Millions of Dead Cops. This is their first album from 1982. Dave Dichter, the lead singer of this, is still the lead singer in this band. They're still going with a different lineup other than Dave. And he's put out a book about the hardcore scene and about MDC in general. But I've met him quite a few times. He's given me a t-shirt. He's invited me to gigs. Showed up at Liquor Bob's a few times. This is a classic Texas punk rock album. But actually, they were a Texas band originally. They moved to California around this time, to San Francisco, put this out on their own label, and this is just brilliant. So, MDC, I think everything by them on vinyl. Brilliant band. Can never get sick of them. Anyway, next, another one of my very favorite bands, Minutemen from 1982. What makes a man start fires? I really don't know. Haven't started too many fires myself. So anyway, this came out '82. Dee Boone, Mike Watt, and George Hurley were the members of Minutemen. This was just before their famous album, Double the Dime, came out, which is less punky, but a fantastic record. It's one of my favorites of all time. This is as punky as they got. Very short songs, minute songs, on SST Records, and you get the lyrics on the back. Fantastic band. Another band you can never get tired of. If you like bass, this is the band for you. Mike Watt, fantastic bass player. Okay, well, put them down here, and yeah, speaking of this, Minor Threat. This is a very early reissue of this album, which originally came with just I think it was just a white cover with Minor Threat, the sheep, and just Out of Step. This is a little later pressing, but it's their last record that they did, and I think they had a lot of problems with it. They split up shortly afterwards. I was going to show the first album, but it's sort of like a compilation. It's not really an album, it's sort of like 2 EPs that they released before this. This came out in 1983. Minor Threat, classic punk rock band. Put that down here. And next, a band I finally got to see live in Hoboken a good few years ago. Naked Reagan, their first album, Throb Throb. Now this had some classic songs on it like Rat Patrol, Surf Combat, Roller Queen, I don't know, yes, and Only in America, to name but a few. This is a reissue that I'm really glad to have got, because I lost mine a long time ago. But the original is hard to get now, so you get a reissue of this. Fantastic. Yeah, I saw them live in Hoboken a good few years ago with a good friend of mine, and we both enjoyed it. Jeff Passati I've met a few times. He's a really nice guy, and they have a new album out recently within the last year, and that is up to par with Naked Reagan. Okay, another early band I got into, a New York band, the Plasmatics. Now this is a reissue on, what's the label is? Let Them Eat Vinyl. Not a very good label for a reissue, but it's got a whole bunch of bonus tracks. This I originally got in 1980. The original was like on Stiff Records on England. I think it was Stiff Records in the States too. But it's a fantastic record. Wendy O. Williams was a goddess of punk rock with all her animal rights stuff that she did. She also loved to jump out of cars. And Richie Stotts, the guitarist, he used to come into Bob's quite a lot. Also a really nice guy. What else can I say about this? New Hope for the Wretched, the first album by the Plasmatics. It's got Butcher Baby, it's got Monkey Suit, which were singles from this album. And of course this is worthwhile having because of the fact that you get so many like rare tracks that weren't on this album as well. So it's worthwhile investing in, I guess. Anyway, that's Plasmatics, New Hope for the Wretched, originally released 1980, and a fantastic record. Okay, here we go. Another Texas band, Really Red. Now this, thanks be to God, was released or reissued on Alternative Tentacles Records a few years ago. Got it. I used to have the original. Well gone, unfortunately. This is one of the most classic hardcore punk rock bands from Texas there ever was. They have songs like, let me see, Aim Tastes Good, that's a great song. Pig Boys, great song. Teaching You to Fear, which is like a classic. I came across this band, got 81, when compilation Let Them Eat Jelly Beans came out, and it took me ages to track down the original of this. Anyway, Really Red, Teaching You to Fear, 1982, I believe. Okay, here we go. Next, British band, Rudimentary Peni. Rudimentary Peni were like a hardcore band from England, London, and they had a couple of EPs out. They were going for years and years and years. This, I think, is actually their first album, Dead Church, which they did like, you can see the art was done by Nicky Blinko. He was the lead singer, guitarist with this band. They were a fantastic band. They started off on Crash Records, but went to do their own stuff. Anyway, that's Rudimentary Peni, Dead Church. Great record. Aha, okay. Speaking of great records, The Ruts from 1979. Malcolm Owen was the singer in this band, and he passed away shortly after doing this record, I believe. But the band sort of kept going under the name Ruts DC. They put out a compilation, and they also did a couple of other albums as Ruts DC. So this is their first album, and this is The Crack, which had great songs on it, called like Something That I Said, Babylon's Burning, the classic song Babylon's Burning, and of course Jah War, they did a little bit of reggae as well, which is fantastic. And there we go, The Ruts. So it's back with, are you staying there? You're leaving. Who knows? Anyway, back with Sex Pistols. First and really only album that originally came with a single. The single was Submission, and don't know where it went. It vanished. This is an original pressing with the pink back cover. Something I've had a long time, but never get rid of. It's a classic. It's like so many punk bands were inspired by this. Brilliant record, 1977. Sex Pistols, Never Mind the Bollocks. And that's how to say it, bollocks. Okay, we're back again to Germany. This is Spermbird's first album, Something to Prove, on We Bite Records, 1986. And Spermbirds had quite a few albums out, split up a few times, got back together a few times. I think they're finally gone now, unfortunately, but they were a great band in the American punk rock sort of tones. They were a really good band. They had quite a few songs like Get on the Stage, Scumbag, Shit Job, Try Again, a cover of Bloodstains by Agent Orange, and of course the song Something to Prove. Germany, 1986. Spermbirds, Something to Prove. Classic record. And speaking of classic records, we're in Ireland now. Stiff Little Fingers, Inflammable Material. We all know Suspect Device. We all know, I'm pretty sure we all know Alternative Ulster. There's Johnny Was, which was the Bob Marley song that they did. Fantastic version of that. A band I've seen many times in the day, and they were such a great band. Always gave their best. Stiff Little Fingers, I think it was also the first record on Rough Trade Records. Yeah, Rough 1. And it's been reissued many times. Fantastic record. There we go. Then, probably what I would say the beginnings of it all. The Stooges, not Raw Power, no, but it's Funhouse. Funhouse came out in 1970. We go, there we go, the back cover of that. And it really, as far as I'm concerned, is really the first punk rock record with Iggy Pop. The songs on this were like just fantastic, like Down on the Street, TVI, one of my personal favorites, 1970. Brilliant. This is a reissue, of course, because the original now is impossible to get, and well worth having. It's a double, and it's got outtakes as a second disc. Well worth having. Stooges, Funhouse. There we go, from 1970. Okay, next. What punk rock video view? Complete without the Stranglers. Stranglers' second album, and I think in my opinion at least, their best record, No More Heroes. 1977, right after Radis and Leviticus, which was their first album. This, just from start to finish, is a banger. It's like great songs all the way, like Feel Like a Wog. I'm blind as a bat, so I can't read subtitles, anything in here. No More Heroes, Pleasant and the Big Shitty, another great song. The Stranglers from 1977, second album, No More Heroes. There we go. Aha! And probably, even though I'm doing these by alphabetical order, I think one of the greatest albums of all time, The Subhumans, Incorrect Thoughts, which was re-recorded only about 15, 20 years ago, right before Brian Globe passed away, who's the bass player singer with this band. These guys were incredible. From Canada, 1980 on Friends Records, the same label that put out the first two DOA records. And they had some fantastic songs that were like just blasters from start to finish. So this is Subhumans from Canada, Incorrect Thoughts, 1980. Great record. Okay, more Subhumans, but not the same Subhumans. This is Subhumans from England with Dick Lucas, who was the lead singer. I've seen these guys quite a few times in different forms. I've seen them as Subhumans, I've seen them as Culture Shock, and I've seen them as Citizen Fish. This is from '83. It's From the Cradle to the Grave. The song From the Cradle to the Grave, I think it's like 16, 17 minutes long, and it's possibly one of the best punk songs of all time, even though a lot of punk songs are like really short. This was not, but it took everything into account. Yes, it did, Fluffy, it did. And this being From the Cradle to the Grave, fantastic album from 1983. They had tons more records. You can't go wrong with any of them. Subhumans, British band. Okay, back to an American band. Suicidal Tendencies, first album. And this had the classic, obviously, Institutionalized. Came out originally on Frontier Records. Frontier Records, right here. There we go. It had songs like Saw Your Mommy Was Dead, Suicide's an Alternative, You'll Be Sorry. They were a great band. It ended up being very metally. The second album was pretty good too, as far as I'm concerned. Join the Army, which has just been reissued. Thanks be to God, because the original goes for tons of money now, which should never happen to punk rock records, ever. So this, being their first album, it was like in your face. Fantastic punk rock. Different lineup for the next album though, but this, brilliant. Absolute brilliant classic punk rock. So next, we're going to Toxic Reasons from Indiana. Now, this were a band that came out of a band called Zero Boys, I believe, who are also a great band. But this is probably my favorite record by Toxic Reasons, and I like basically all their records, even that they were a bit metally in the end as well, but it was still pretty good. So this came out in '84 on Alternative Tentacles Records. Fantastic record. This is the British pressing of it with a blue cover. The American pressing had a red cover. Had songs like Killing the Future, Breakdown, The War Machine, Get Out the Gun, which is like, I think probably one of the best anti-gun songs I've ever come across. Although they do say blow them out the door in the song. But it's like, you know, Toxic Reasons, 1986. And That's on Alternative Tentacles. Great record from start to finish. Aha. Now we're going back to TSOL. Dance With Me, the first album by TSOL. Very gothic, dark, very dark humour. Originally on Frontier Records. This is a reissue on Nitro. It's produced by Tom Wilson, who also produced some Dead Kennedy stuff and a lot of American punk rock stuff. This is the original lineup. Great band. Yeah, songs like Sound of Laughter, Code Blue, The Triangle, 80 Times, Love Story, Silent Scream, and Die For Me, which is brilliant. Just great, gothic-y, dark punk rock. And that's TSOL, True Sounds of Liberty. And here comes a bit of a banger. This, most people like the first Vibrators album. I like it too. Not nearly as much as I like this, which is V2, obviously their second album. Had the original lineup minus the original bass player. Gary Tibbs took on bass for this album. He was also in Adam and the Ants later. Stand and Deliver time. But this album is just great. It's got another one of my favorite songs, Troops of Tomorrow, which was covered by The Exploited. I think I mentioned that earlier. And it had so many great songs that there's not a bad second on this record. It is just fantastic, from 1978. Brilliant record. The Vibrators V2. It was actually on Epic Records. So, we're getting close to the end, and the end would be X, Los Angeles, 1980, classic band from LA. What can be said about them is they went for years and years. I don't think they'd ever had a bad record. They expanded on their sound a bit, yes, but always great. These guys I saw on a reunion tour in 20 something or other in New York, and they were this thing. They did the first two albums, absolutely fantastic. This has Ray Manzarek from The Doors playing keyboards on it. He also produced it. It's just a great classic punk rock record. And the very last record of all, Germ-Free Adolescence by X-Ray Specs. Who could be without this? Polly Stern, her vocal style, just genius. So many songs on this, like Identity, Genetic Engineering, brilliant songs from like 1978, and unfortunately it came out on one of my most hated labels of all time, EMI. Yes, but still a fantastic record, and I'm sure this has influenced so many people. Thank you for everything, for listening. We have been listening to Moving Targets with the great Ken Chambers, who was a fantastic guy, one of my favorite records of all time. This is Burning in Water. It's obviously a reissue of this album. Have the original as well there somewhere. Great band. You should check them out. If you don't know Moving Targets, you won't go wrong with anything they've ever done. Thank you again. Take care.